Hi, I'm Melissa Taff, and today I'm going to talk to you briefly about a couple of new formative assessment strategies I'm trying out in my classrooms. We're going to talk about two different formative assessment strategies. One is a Socrative space race, and the other one is collaborative quizzes. So we'll start off with the Socrative space race. Socrative is an online tool that works as a polling tool. So it allows students to take tests online using their personal devices or a computer. What I really like about Socrative is that it looks very good. It's very aesthetically easy to look at. It's very plain and simple looking. The formatting is wonderful on it. It's free for most users, and in my opinion, in my usage, the free version is quite comprehensive and is all that I need. And it's also got a couple of different types of tests you can run. So you can run multiple choice test, but you can also run a space race, and that's what I've run today. So in my space race, I've set up a number of teams that Socrative lets me choose, and as students log in, Socrative arbitrarily places them onto teams, and then they compete against each other as these teams, which is wonderful because it creates this sort of collaboration with no risk, and they don't actually have to be face-to-face. They don't actually have to be responsible for what their correct or incorrect answers are. They just get to try things and get a very unique sense of collaboration without actually being face-to-face with people or even knowing who their collaborative partners are. So they don't know who else is on their team in the space race.
To the student login, and it says room name. So the room name is going to be 911 Professor, which, by the way, is my Instagram handle if anybody would like to find.
My favorite thing about the Socrative space race is that it's anonymous. So it creates this no-risk sort of environment where students can collaborate without actually having to be responsible for what they've contributed to their group. So if you contribute a correct answer, you still get that feeling like you're helping a team. But if you contribute a wrong answer, there's less risk there. There's a less responsible feeling associated with it.
Cool. So you're on a team, and you don't know the other members of the team, and you're going to be racing against each other.
The space race, unlike a lot of polling and quizzing software, also allows students to work at their own speed. So they're going to log in and complete these questions individually, and the only thing that shows up on the main screen on the board is the total score of each space race team. So that sort of allows some students to work quicker or slower, whichever is more appropriate for them, which is really nice because sometimes, again, when we do these large quiz environments that are online on a screen, a lot of students get frustrated because we're going very slowly. Some students don't read at the same speed, and that removes that sort of barrier as well. I've chosen to apply the Socrative space race to days where we have tests. So I teach this anatomy course in particular in 3-hour blocks, and we have tests at the beginning of the class, and then I need to have teaching that happens for the other 2 hours of the class. So as we teach, I still need to get formative feedback and formative evaluations happening, but I don't want to overwhelm students since they've already had a formal evaluation that morning. So I would like to keep things light and easy, and I found the Socrative space race is a really great opportunity to get some formative feedback and to identify to the students what they should be learning in that class without any kind of pressures that they would normally associate with evaluations. The other type of evaluation that I used in this specific example for formative feedback is the collaborative quiz. This course in particular involved having weekly quizzes or assignments, sometimes individual quizzes and sometimes group assignments that they did in class as part of their formative assessment. What I thought I would try in a couple of classes this year is doing a collaborative quiz, and how I plan to approach it is to have the students come in at the beginning of class and complete the quiz right off the bat. This quiz will normally act, they might not realize it, but for me as a diagnostic tool to let me know what they already knew about that topic, what they learned from the readings or who did the readings and who came prepared to class, And it also lets the students know what they're going to need to know later in the day and what they should be learning from that class. So I'm hoping that students will take the test, and that will sort of set off a few triggers in their mind as they think about what kind of questions and topics and information they should be learning throughout the next 3 hours of the class. The plan then is to deliver the exact same quiz to partners or groups of 3 at the end of class. So again, they come in, they write the quiz, they get a mark on that quiz. Then I'm going to give them the choice at the end of class, and they can rewrite the quiz after getting the additional knowledge that they will through my teaching, and we'll let them rewrite the quiz with a partner, and we'll see if their mark is better, which it probably will be, and they can choose to use that mark. So this is what I'm calling collaborative quizzes in a formative evaluation form. These are worth very, very small amounts of marks, typically around like the 2% range, and hopefully it will be a good practice. So what it's going to look like is students will be handed the quiz in groups that I will assign to ensure fairness, and they will have X amount of time to complete the quiz. And then at the end of the quiz, there's also a section at the bottom for reflections. And so students will complete the exact same quiz with a partner this time. And at the end of the quiz, in order to get the 1 bonus mark that I have promised, they will complete a section at the bottom titled Reflection. In the reflective area, they're going to stop and take a moment to think about how their group work contributed to the completion of this quiz. So they're going to reflect upon what contributions they lended to it, what they could have done better, what needs some improvement, and they can add this into the reflection area. I chose to try collaborative quizzes this semester because I've heard a lot of research coming about how immediate feedback and collaboration is really improving test scores. So I thought I would use this as an experiment of sorts to see if it does in fact help students retain knowledge longer, having that immediate feedback and working with a partner to sort out that problem. The collaborative quiz, aside from having the formative evaluation function, is also really useful in showing students how collaboration works in a real-world problem-solving environment. A lot of times in colleges we set them up with these group assignments and group projects, and some students don't contribute as much. That's a common pitfall of these group assignments. Sometimes students miss meetings, they're not communicating, they're missing that piece. Having this collaborative quiz is immediate. The students are placed face to face, so there's no avoiding the communication. And it doesn't necessarily matter in this context if one person is contributing like a little bit less or a little bit more than the other, because ultimately they're both going to be benefiting mutually from this. In all likelihood, I'm anticipating that all students will end up getting a higher mark the second time they write, after they've witnessed the lecture and working with a partner. That should result in a higher grade. And so my goal is to show them that in the real world, collaboration doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's contributing perfectly equally, but just that people are contributing different things. And in contributing different things, we can have a better product as a whole at the end. So I'm hoping this is the message that they get from this interaction, aside from actually learning the formative evaluation.